On the dry and dusty planet of Vexera, the sun burned hot in the sky. The land was harsh and wild, with few trees and many rocky hills. Here, a small group of aliens lived under the rule of a cruel master. They were slaves, forced to work and obey without question. Among them was a young alien woman named Nira. Nira's skin was a soft green color, and her eyes were bright yellow. She was strong but tired. Every day, she worked in the fields, carrying heavy loads of rocks and dirt. She wore only thin cloth that barely covered her body. The masters did not care about her pain or her tears. She remembered the day she was taken from her home village. It was a terrible day. The slave masters had come with large ships and many soldiers. They captured everyone they could find, men, women, and children. Nira had tried to hide, but they found her. They took her away from her family and friends. Since then, her life had been full of fear and sorrow. The slave camp was surrounded by tall metal walls with sharp spikes on top, guards with weapons. Watched day and night, no one was allowed to leave. Every day, the slaves were forced to work harder. If anyone tried to escape, the punishment was cruel. Nira saw many suffer, but she never lost hope. She dreamed of freedom, though it seemed far away. One morning, Nira woke up before the sun rose. She sat on the cold ground and looked at the sky slowly changing colors. She thought about her family and wished she could see them again. Suddenly, she heard loud noises. At first, she thought it was the guards, but the sounds were different. There were many strange voices, and they spoke a language she did not understand. Nira stood up and moved closer to the wall to see what was happening. From a distance, she saw a group of people landing on the rocky field outside the camp. Their ships were shiny and strong, different from the dull gray ships of the slave masters. The new people wore armor that shined under the sun. They carried weapons, but they did not look angry or cruel. Among these new visitors was a man named Rian. He was a soldier from a distant planet called Earth. Humans were known across the galaxy for their bravery and kindness. Rian had heard stories about the slaves on Vexera, and he wanted to help them. He did not like to see anyone suffer. Rian watched the camp carefully. He saw how the slaves worked and how the guards shouted at them. He noticed Nira standing near the wall, her eyes filled with sadness, but also with strength. Something about her caught his attention. He felt a strong urge to help her, to give her a chance to be free. The leader of the human group spoke quietly to Rian. We must be careful. The slave masters have many soldiers. If they see us, they will attack. But if we act fast, we can help these people. Rian nodded. He knew this mission would be dangerous, but he did not fear the risk. As the humans moved closer, some of the slave masters saw them and shouted warnings. The slave guards raised their weapons and prepared to fight. The slaves watched silently, hoping for a miracle, but afraid of what might happen. Rian stepped forward and called out in the alien language, "We come to free you. You do not need to suffer anymore." His voice was calm but strong. Some slaves looked at him in surprise, unsure if they could trust this strange man. Nira watched carefully. She wanted to believe him, but her heart was heavy with pain and doubt. She had seen many promises before, but they had never come true. Still, she took a small step forward. Maybe this was her chance. One guard fired a warning shot, and the battle began. The humans fought with skill and courage. They used advanced weapons and tools that the slave guards did not understand. Slowly, the guards started to fall back. In the middle of the fight, Rian saw Nira trapped near a wall. A guard was about to strike her with a heavy stick. Without thinking, Rian ran and pushed the guard away. He caught Nira's arm and pulled her to safety. Her eyes widened with shock and hope. "Come with me," Rian said softly. "I will keep you safe." Nira hesitated for a moment but then nodded. She took a deep breath and ran beside Rian. Behind them, the battle continued, but she felt like a new light was shining inside her. For the first time in a long time, she felt a small spark of hope. The humans reached the gate and opened. It was strong machines. They shouted for the slaves to follow them. Many slaves ran out, free at last. Nira looked back once, thinking of those still inside. She promised herself she would help them too. As they moved away from the camp, Rian gently asked, "What is your name, Nira?" She answered quietly, "Nira, you are safe now," Rian said with a warm smile. For the first time, Nira smiled too. It was small, but it was real. She did not know what the future held, but she knew one thing: her life was about to change forever. The sky was dark with stars as Nira and Rian ran away from the slave camp behind them. The sounds of fighting and shouting slowly faded. The humans had opened the gates, and many slaves had rushed out to freedom. But the danger was not over. Yet Rian held Nira's hand tightly, helping her move fast over the rocky ground. Nira's legs were tired, and her heart was full of fear and hope all at once. She had never run like this before, not for freedom and not for her life. "We need to get to the ship," Rian said softly. "It is not far. Once we are there, we will be safe." Nira looked up at the sky. The stars shone like tiny lamps in the night. She had never seen the stars so clearly before. In the camp, the sky had always been blocked by smoke and metal towers. Her mind raced with questions. Who were these humans? Why did they risk so much to help her and the others? Could she trust them? She did not answer aloud, but Rian seemed to understand. "We are different," he said. "Humans believe in freedom. We fight for it, even when it is hard. You are free now, Nira. That is what matters." Nira felt tears in her eyes. She had never been called free before. The word was new and strange, but it felt like a gentle breeze after a long storm. Suddenly, a loud noise broke the quiet. A group of slave guards appeared behind them, running fast with weapons raised. They had found the escapees and wanted to bring them back. Nira's heart pounded harder. She looked at Rian, ready to fight or run. Rian pulled out a small device from his belt. He pressed a button, and a bright light flashed, blinding the guards for a moment. Then, he grabbed a stick from the ground and stood in front of Nira. "Stay close to me," he said. The guards shouted angrily and charged. Rian fought with skill and speed. He moved like the wind, blocking attacks and striking back. Nira watched in awe. She wanted to help but did not know how. One guard tried to grab Nira's arm, but she shook him off. Something inside her stirred a fire she had not felt before. She pushed the guard hard, and he stumbled. The other guards saw this and hesitated. Nira was not as weak as they thought. Rian took advantage of the moment and called, "Run. I will hold them." Nira nodded and ran toward the shining lights of the human ship. Her legs moved faster than before. She could hear the guards shouting behind her, but she did not look back. Freedom was ahead. Inside the ship, the air was cool and clean. The lights were soft and warm. Humans moved quickly, helping slaves climb aboard. Nira felt strange but safe. For the first time, she saw faces filled with kindness. Rian found her and smiled. "You made it." Nira gasped for breath but managed to smile back. "Thank you," she said quietly. Rian shook his head. "No thanks yet. We still have a long way to go." The ship lifted off the ground with a low hum. Outside, the planet looked small and lonely. Nira sat near a window and watched the stars. She thought about the people she left behind, the slaves still trapped in pain. She wished she could save them all. Days passed as the ship traveled through space. Nira learned more about humans and their world. They talked about peace, justice, and courage. Rian shared stories about his home: blue skies, green forests, and oceans that stretched far beyond the eyes. Nira listened carefully. She wanted to believe in this new world, but her heart still held some fear. "Why do you help me?" she asked one night. Rian looked at her with honest eyes. "Because no one should live in pain. Because you deserve to be free. Because humans fight for the weak. That is who we are." Nira smiled softly. For the first time, she felt she was more than a slave. She was a person with a future. One day, the ship stopped near a large station called Unity Base. It was a place where many alien species and humans worked together for peace. Here, Nira met others who had been freed. They shared stories and helped each other heal. The medical team checked Nira's wounds. They cleaned the scars and gave her medicine. The pain lessened, but the memories stayed. Nira wanted to forget, but she knew she must remember to be strong. Rian stayed by her side during this time. He taught her basic skills: how to use simple tools, how to speak some human words, and how to trust again. Nira found comfort in his kindness. She wanted to learn, to grow, and to change. One afternoon, Nira and Rian walked outside the station. The sun was warm, and the air smelled of flowers and fresh grass. Nira closed her eyes and took a deep breath. It was the first time she felt peace. "Do you think I can be free forever?" she asked. Rian smiled. "Yes, you are free now, and no one can take that away. You have a new life, Nira." Nira looked at the sky and nodded. She was ready to face whatever came next. Her past was full of pain, but her future was full of hope. That night, as she slept, Nira dreamed of her home planet, green forests and sparkling rivers. She dreamed of her family waiting for her. She dreamed of a new life where no one was bare and beaten, only strong and free. After arriving at Unity Base, Nira found herself in a world very different from the one she had known. The base was large and full of life. Humans and many other alien species worked and lived together in peace. The air was clean and fresh. The buildings were made with soft colors and smooth shapes. Nira felt small and unsure, but she also felt safe for the first time in a long time. The first place she was taken to was the medical center. A kind woman named Mara greeted her. Mara was a healer from a peaceful alien race. She had soft blue skin and eyes that shone like stars. Mara looked at Nira's wounds carefully. The scars from the harsh treatment were deep, but Mara smiled gently. "We will help you," Mara said. "Your body needs time to heal, and your heart too." Nira sat quietly as Mara cleaned her wounds. The pain was strong, but Nira did not cry. She was tired of tears. She wanted to be strong. Slowly, day by day, Mara and the other healers gave Nira medicine and rest. They taught her simple ways to care for herself. One morning, Rian came to visit. He carried a small bag with food and fresh clothes. He smiled when he saw Nira sitting by the window, watching the sunrise. "How do you feel?" he asked. Nira thought for a moment. "Stronger," she said, "but still afraid." Rian nodded. "That is normal. Freedom is new. It takes time to believe." Nira looked out the window. "I want to believe," she said softly. Rian sat beside her. "I will help you." Days passed, and Nira's body grew stronger. She learned to eat new foods and wear new clothes. The human clothes felt strange at first, soft and light, unlike the rough cloths she had worn before. She liked the feeling of clean skin and fresh air on her arms. But the hardest part was learning to trust. The memories of pain and fear came. Often, sometimes, at night, she woke with a start, feeling trapped again. Rian was always there, calming her with gentle words. "You are safe," he would say. "No one will hurt you here." Nira wanted to believe him. Slowly, she did. One day, Mara took Nira to a quiet garden inside the base. The garden was full of colorful flowers and tall trees. Birds sang softly. Nira had never seen so many colors or heard such peaceful sounds. She walked slowly among the plants, breathing deeply. Mara smiled. "Nature helps heal the soul. When you feel pain inside, come here." Nira touched a soft flower and smiled. It was a small moment, but it gave her hope. As the days turned into weeks, Nira began to talk more. She told Rian about her home, about the green forests and clear rivers she had once known. She told him about her family and friends who were still trapped on Vexera. Her voice was quiet but full of longing. Rian listened carefully. "We will help them too," he promised. Nira felt a new fire inside her. She did not want to be a slave anymore. She wanted to help others find freedom, just like she had. Rian began teaching Nira simple skills. He showed her how to use basic tools and how to communicate better with humans. At first, it was hard. The human language was different, with many strange sounds. But Nira was smart and worked hard. Soon, she could say many words and understand more. Rian also taught her about human ways, how they helped each other and worked as a team. Nira liked these ideas. They felt right. One afternoon, Rian and Nira visited a training room. It was a large place with soft mats and many tools. Rian smiled. "If you want, I can teach you to defend yourself." Nira looked at him with surprise. "Me? Defend myself?" "Yes," Rian said. "You are strong. You can learn." Nira felt a mixture of fear and excitement. She had never held a weapon before, but she knew she could try. The training was hard. At first, Nira stumbled and fell. Her arms and legs felt weak. But Rian was patient. He encouraged her to keep trying. Day by day, Nira grew stronger. She learned how to move quickly and use simple weapons. She learned to protect herself and others. For the first time, she felt powerful. One evening, after training, Nira sat with Rian under the stars. She looked at the sky and said, "I want to be free. Not just for me, but for everyone like me." Rian smiled. "That is a brave heart. You are ready for what comes next." Nira smiled back. The pain of her past was still there, but it was no longer the only thing inside her. Hope and strength had found a place to dot as she looked at the stars. Nira dreamed of a future where no one would be bare and beaten, a future where all could live free. After weeks of rest and healing at Unity Base, Nira felt a new strength growing inside her. She was no longer just a scared, broken slave. Now, she was ready to learn how to defend herself and help others. Rian stood by her side, ready to guide her on this new journey. One bright morning, Rian took Nira to a large training hall inside the base. The hall was full of equipment, soft mats, wooden sticks, and glowing targets. Other humans and aliens were training there too. Some practiced moves that looked like dance. Others worked on strength and speed. Nira's heart beat fast. She was nervous but excited. She wanted to be ready for anything. She did not want to be weak again. Rian smiled and said, "We will start with simple moves. You don't need to be fast at first. Just learn to stand strong." Nira nodded. She listened carefully as Rian showed her how to stand with her feet firm on the ground, her body balanced. He taught her how to hold a wooden stick for defense and how to block attacks. At first, Nira struggled. Her muscles were weak and her movements slow. But she did not give up. Every day, she practiced with Rian. Sometimes she fell, but she always stood up again. Rian encouraged her. "Good, keep going. You are stronger than you think." Slowly, Nira learned to move with purpose. She learned to see danger before it came. She learned to protect herself without fear. One afternoon, Rian introduced her to a new challenge. "This is a training device," he said. "It will throw soft balls at you. You must dodge or block them. It will help your speed and reflexes." Nira faced the device. The balls came fast, but she moved quickly too. She dodged and blocked with growing skill. Each success made her smile. The other trainees noticed Nira's progress. Some came to watch and cheer her on. She felt proud but stayed focused. As days passed, Nira also learned about teamwork. Rian told her, "Sometimes fighting alone is not enough. You need friends to help you." They practiced in pairs, learning how to protect each other. Nira and Rian worked together, trusting each other more each day. Outside the training hall, Nira met other freed slaves. Some were strong and confident. Others still carried pain in their eyes. Nira shared her story and listened to theirs. She felt less alone. One day, Nira stood in front of a group of young aliens who had just arrived at Unity Base. They looked scared and unsure, like she had once been. Nira spoke softly but clearly. "You are not alone. We are free now. We will help each other." The young aliens looked at her with hope. Nira smiled, feeling proud. She was no longer just a slave. She was a leader. But training was not only about fighting. Rian also taught Nira about human technology. She learned how to use simple computers and communicate with others across the base. It was strange at first, but she was smart and curious. One evening, While walking through the base, Nira asked Rian, "Will I ever be ready to go back to my planet?" Rian looked at her thoughtfully. "Not yet, but soon. When you are strong enough to help your people." Nira nodded. Her heart burned with a new purpose. She wanted to return and free those still trapped in darkness before long. Nira was ready for her first real test. The base leaders planned a mission to rescue more slaves on Vexera. They chose Nira to join the team because of her knowledge of the land and her courage. The night before the mission, Nira could not sleep. She thought about her family and friends. She thought about the pain she had felt and the hope she now carried. Rian sat beside her. "You are ready," he said. "We will face danger, but we will stand together." Nira smiled. "Thank you, Rian, for everything." Together, they looked at the stars outside the window. For the first time, Nira saw a future where she was free, strong, and able to help others. Her journey had only just begun. The cold air of space surrounded the transport ship as it moved toward Vexera. Inside, the rescue team prepared in silence. Weapons were checked, gear was tightened, and each person focused on the task ahead. Nira sat near the front, her hands resting on her knees. Her eyes were steady, but her heart beat fast. This was her first mission since her freedom. She had trained hard for weeks, but now the real test was here. She would return to the place of her pain, but this time, not as a prisoner. This time, she came as someone who could fight back. Rian stood beside her, checking his equipment. "Remember what we practiced," he said. "Stay close to the team, watch for signals, and don't take risks alone." Nira nodded. "I understand." She had promised herself she would follow orders, but she also promised something else: to free as many as she could. The ship landed far from the main camp to avoid being seen. The team moved quietly through the rocky land. Nira led them along hidden paths she remembered from her days as a slave. The cold wind carried the smell of dust and smoke. Each step brought her closer to the camp, and her memories grew sharper. They reached a ridge that overlooked the camp. From here, Nira could see the tall metal walls, the watchtowers, and the slaves moving inside. Her heart ached at the sight. Some of them were young, some old, all tired and thin. Rian placed a hand on her shoulder. "We will get them out." The team split into two groups. One would create a distraction at the north gate, while the other, Nira's group, would break in from the south and lead the slaves to safety. They checked their small communication devices and prepared. When the signal came, the distant sound of explosions echoed from the north. The guards in the towers turned their attention that way. Nira's group moved fast. They cut through a section of the wall with a silent laser tool. The opening was small but enough to slip through. Inside the camp, Nira's eyes darted around. She saw the same hard ground she had walked on so many times, the same rough shelters, the same hopeless faces. But now, those faces looked at her with surprise. She was no longer one of them. She was different. She moved quickly to the nearest group of slaves. "Come with me," she whispered. "We are here to take you away from this place." Some looked afraid to move, but others, remembering her, stepped forward. One old man whispered, "Nira, is it really you?" "Yes," she said, "and I am free. You can be too." More slaves gathered as Rian and the others kept watch. They moved carefully toward the opening in the wall. The plan was working until a guard spotted them. Shouts filled the air. More guards ran toward them, weapons ready. Rian stepped forward, blocking their path. "Go," he told Nira. Nira guided the slaves through the wall, helping the weak and young first. The air outside the camp felt fresh, but danger was still close. She could hear the sound of weapons behind her. She turned to see Rian and to other humans holding the guards back. Nira wanted to help, but she knew she had to lead the slaves to the safe pickup point. "Follow me," she called, her voice strong. The group moved quickly through the rocky hills. Some stumbled, but Nira pulled them up. She remembered her own escape and used every bit of strength to keep them moving. At last, they reached the signal point where the second human team was waiting with transport vehicles. The rescued slaves were helped aboard. Their eyes wide with relief, Nira turned to see Rian running toward her. His armor was scratched, but he was safe. He gave a quick nod. All of them, yes, Nira said, breathing hard. We got them. The vehicle sped away toward the hidden landing site behind them. The camp grew smaller and smaller. For Nira, it felt like closing a door on her past. When they reached the ship, the freed slaves were given food and water. Some cried, some laughed, and some simply sat in silence, trying to understand what had happened. Nira moved among them, offering words of comfort. One young girl looked up at her and asked, "Will we be safe now?" "Yes," Nira said firmly. "You will never go back there." Ryun came over, a tired smile on his face. "You did well today." Nira shook her head. "We all did. This is only the beginning." As the ship lifted off, Nira stood by the window. The planet of Vexra lay below, quiet and distant. She knew there were still many camps, many more to be freed. But for tonight, they had won a small but powerful victory. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and Nira felt ready for whatever came. Next, she had faced her past, and now she was stronger than ever. The alien fleet hung in the dark like a wall of steel and fire. Thousands of warships formed their blockade, their engines glowing faintly, their weapons ready to burn anything that moved. The Galactic Council had sent them to finish the humans. Once and for all. For days, Earth's ships had stayed hidden, silent among the asteroid fields and debris. The aliens thought the humans were too weak to face them in open space. They thought victory was only a matter of time. They were wrong. On the command deck of the human flagship Iron Dawn, Commander Rehen stood over the holo table. His eyes scanned the glowing tactical map, watching the enemy formations. His voice was calm, but every word carried steel, signals to all ships. He ordered, "Phase 2 begins now." Deep in the asteroid belt, massive shadows began to stir, planet-sized. Carriers, built in secret over decades, slowly emerged. Their hulls were black as the void, covered with thick armor and shield arrays that glimmered faintly under starlight. Each was armed with weapons that no alien race had ever seen before. The first alien sensor officer to spot them almost dropped. His console pad. "Captain, we have something big no. Huge coming out of the belt." His captain frowned. "Another mining station. Destroy it and no, sir. These are warships. Big enough to hold cities inside." Before the alien fleet could react, the human carrier's side panel slid open. Dozens of gun ports aligned and colossal cannons extended, each barrel glowing with a deep red light. Commander Rehen's voice came over every human channel. "We gave them a chance. They chose war. Now, we end it." The first volley shook. The stars dot energy beams as wide as towers tore through space, cutting alien battleships clean in half. The blasts were silent in the vacuum, but their light turned the battlefield into a white flash. Entire formations of the alien armada vanished in seconds, their hulls melting under the power of weapons that operated on principles alien science had never imagined. On the alien flagship Velshire, Admiral Tornik gripped the railing, his voice shaking. "Pull back, form a defensive wall." But the humans didn't give them time. Swarms of smaller human strike ships burst out from hidden hangars, moving faster than any alien interceptor could track. Their weapons weren't just stronger, they were smarter. Each missile adjusted mid-flight, avoiding enemy fire and finding weak points in shields. Alien cruisers exploded one after another, their escape pods scattering into the void. The Galactic Council's forces had come expecting a prey animal. Instead, they had found a predator. From the bridge of the Iron Dawn, Rehen watched the alien fleet break apart. Some ships tried to flee, others attempted to regroup, but chaos ruled them now. He turned to his second officer. "Signal the fleet pursue and disable. We take prisoners. We send a message." While the main battle raged, one human warship broke through the alien lines and closed in on the enemy flagship. Captain Mara, commanding the Thunder Spear, opened a channel. "Admiral Tornik," she said, her voice cold, "you have two choices. Surrender now or vanish from history." The alien admiral's voice was defiant, but Rehen could hear the fear beneath it. You can't possibly think you can destroy the Council's entire fleet. There are more coming. Mara's lips curved into the faintest smile. Then tell them to bring all they have. We'll save them the trip. The Thunder Spear's forward gun charged, energy building until its glow lit the alien bridge through the viewports. Tornik's crew froze. The alien admiral finally lowered his head. This battle is over. When the surrender signal was sent, the remaining alien ships hesitated only for moments before powering down their weapons. They had seen enough to understand humanity wasn't just defending itself. It was capable of winning. Hours later, debris drifted quietly through the now empty battlefield. The surviving alien crews were escorted to prison barges. The humans had lost ships too, but far fewer than anyone had expected. In the war room aboard Iron Dawn, Rehan faced the holoscreen showing the Galactic Council seal. Several alien delegates appeared, their faces pale, their voices careful. Commander Rehan, one of them said, the Council wishes to discuss terms. Rehan's tone was steady. Terms are simple. You leave human space. You never threaten our worlds again, and you pay for every colony you attacked. One alien delegate hissed, you think we will kneel to humans, Rehan? Lean forward. If you don't, then next time, we won't stop at your fleets. We will come for your worlds, and you have seen what our warships can do. The silence that followed was long and heavy. Then, slowly, one alien delegate gave a single nod. Outside the flagship, the great human carriers began to turn, heading back toward the asteroid belt to vanish into their hidden docks once again. The galaxy would whisper about them for years. Massive shadows that appeared only when Earth needed them. Unstoppable engines of war built by a species the galaxy had underestimated for far too long. In every alien stronghold, one truth spread like fire. The humans are not prey. The humans are predators. And they remember every attack. And somewhere deep in the void, Commander Rehan watched the stars and quietly promised, if they come again, they'll regret it even more. If you want, I can now write Part 7 as the grand finale showing how the galaxy reacts after this battle and how humans solidify their position. That way, your 7-part story closes with maximum impact. The sky above the alien capital was dark, filled with the flicker of distant explosions. Ships burned in the upper atmosphere, their wreckage falling like glowing meteors. From the high towers, alien leaders watched in silence, their pride collapsing, like the shattered walls of their city. Far above them, the human fleet hung in orbit like silent predators. The massive warships did not move much now. They had already proven their strength. The aliens could feel that the war was no longer about winning battles. It was about showing who controlled the stars. Commander Rehan stood on the bridge of the human flagship, looking at the blue-green planet below. Around him, his crew worked in silence. Every order was carried out without hesitation. They had trained for years for this moment, and it showed in their precision. Enemy transmissions have stopped, said a young officer. No more commands. From their central command, Rehan nodded. They know it's over. But deep in his voice, there was no joy. This victory came after months of hard fighting. Entire cities had been destroyed. Both human and alien fleets had lost ships. Yet, in the end, humanity's determination had broken the enemy's will. On the surface, alien civilians huddled in the streets, watching the sky. They had been told for years that humans were weak, primitive creatures barely able to survive outside their homeworld. But now they saw the truth with their own eyes. A deep hum shook the air as one of the largest human warships passed low in the atmosphere. Its shadow covered entire districts. The alien guards dropped their weapons and stepped back. There was no point in fighting a force that could level a city block with a single shot. In the alien council chamber, the ruling elders sat in silence. Their grand hall, once filled with proud banners, now felt cold and empty. An aide rushed in, his voice trembling. They are demanding an audience, he said. The humans want to speak directly to the council. The eldest of them, a silver-skinned being with deep, tired eyes, sighed, prepare the chamber. We will hear what they have to say. Moments later, a human landing craft descended outside the council building. Its metallic hull was scarred from battles, yet it still moved with perfect control. The ramp lowered, and Commander Rion stepped out with 2 armored soldiers at his side. The sound of their boots echoed through the stone hallways. When he entered the chamber, the alien leaders rose to meet him. None spoke at first. The silence was heavy. "You wage war on us," Rion began, his voice calm but carrying across the room. "You thought humanity would break. You thought we would kneel." He took a step closer, his eyes cold. "You were wrong." The eldest elder lowered his head. "Your fleets are strong. Your people are dangerous. We understand that now." Rion studied them for a moment. "Dangerous?" He repeated. "No, we are only dangerous to those who try to destroy us." Another council member, younger and more defiant, spoke. "If you wanted peace, why strike so hard?" Rion's gaze sharpened. "Because you left us no choice. You attacked our colonies. You enslaved our people. You thought the galaxy would stand with you. But when we came, your allies fled. Do you know why?" The chamber was silent again. "They have seen what happens when humanity is cornered." Rion continued. "We fight until we win. We never stop. That is why they ran." The eldest elder finally spoke again. "What will you do with us now?" Rion looked around the hall, his eyes meeting each alien leader's in turn. "You will end your campaigns. You will release every human you have captured. You will pay for the damage you caused to our colonies. If you refuse," he let the words hang in the air. Outside, the low rumble of human warships filled the silence. No one needed him to finish the sentence. After a long pause, the eldest elder stood. "Then we agree. The war is over." Rion nodded once. "Then we will leave your world in peace. But remember this, if you ever raise a weapon against us again, humanity will return. And next time, we will not stop at your fleets." The meeting ended quickly after that. Rion and his soldiers returned to their ship. As the ramp closed behind them, the crew prepared to depart from orbit. The human fleet slowly began to pull away. One by one, the great warships turned toward the stars, leaving the alien planet behind. But they did not vanish completely. A few patrol ships remained in the system, a silent reminder that humanity was watching. On the bridge, Rion watched the shrinking world on the main screen. The war was won, but the galaxy would remember. The humans had been underestimated for too long. Now, their name carried weight in every star system. As the flagship jumped into faster-than-light travel, Rion finally allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had survived. They had stood against the galactic power and forced it to its knees. And somewhere out there, in the cold dark between the stars, others were watching. They would think twice before making the same mistake.